Hello, good afternoon students. Jai Sanskar. Now we reach the third point of our lesson number 15. How does oxygen become available in the animals and a plant living in a water and soil? You have many times think in your mind that how do animals breathe who are living underwater. If you do not do this at home, but if you keep your full mouth into the water for some time, what happen? You cannot breathe in. But the animals that are living in underwater, it always live inside it and they can breathe. But how do they can breathe and what happen? Even some insects like earthworm, and they are just always living inside the soil. How also do they breathe? How do they get air to breathe? Let's read and understand this by performing an activity. Activity 5. Take some water in a glass vessel or beaker. Heat it slowly on the tripod stand well before water begins to boil. Look carefully at the inner surface of the vessel. Do you see any tiny bubbles on the inside? See, take a vessel and heat it with the help of the tripod. Now you notice that the bubbles is just coming out from the just below side of that vessel. So you can see in this picture 15.10. Figure 15.10. These bubbles comes from the air dissolved in water. When you heat the water, it begins with the air dissolved in it escape. When you heat the vessel, the water also get heated, and along with that heated water, the air is coming out from that in the form of the bubbles. So you can say that the air present inside the water. As you continue heating the water itself, it's turned into the vapor and finally begins to boil. It begins to boil, and first of all it converted into the water. We learned this into the chapter number 8 and 9 that the animals living in a water use the dissolved oxygen in water. Already oxygen is dissolved in a water. As you know that the chemical formula of the water is H2O. O means oxygen. So oxygen is always present in the water, and animals conserve that oxygen. The organisms that live in the soil also need oxygen to respire, isn't it? Yes. How do they get air they need for respiration? હવે વોટર એનિમલ્સનું તો સમજાઈ ગયું કે વોટરની અંદર જ ઓક્સિજન હોય છે, સો they just used that oxygen dissolved in a water. But what about the animals that are always living inside the soil by making holes and burrows and etc.? How do they breathe? Let's read and understand. Again performing in activity 6. Take a lump of a dry soil in a beaker or a glass. Add water to it and note that what happened. As you can see in 15.11. Do you see any bubbles coming out from the soil? Yes. When you take a lump of the soil and you pour some water inside it, again the bubbles coming out from that soil. What does this show? This shows that the air is also present between the tiny particles of the soil. These bubbles indicate that the presence of air is in the soil. When the water is poured on the lump of the soil, it displaces the air which is seen in the form of the bubbles. The organisms that live inside the soil and the plant root respire in the air, and a lot of burrows and holes are formed in the deep soil by the animals living in the soil. જે એનિમલ્સ સોઇલની અંદર રહે છે નાના બુરોઝ બનાવે છે, and it gets the oxygen that is needed for the living is coming out from the soil itself. These burrows also make a space available for the air to move in and out of the soil. See, this burrow make the space air in and out of the soil. Water fills up, however, when it rains heavily, water fills up all the space occupied by the air in the soil. As you have earlier seen that when you put the inverted bottle into the vessel, the water cannot enter into the bottle. But as you tilted the bottle, the space that has made from that the water air just is left over. Similarly, when it rains heavily, જ્યારે ફૂલ વરસાદ પડે છે ત્યારે જે એરે જે જગ્યા રોકી હોય છે એ જગ્યા વોટર લઈ લે છે. And the animals that are living into the soil, they cannot breathe or take up the oxygen dissolved in the water, so they need to be come out, એટલે એને બહાર આવવું પડે છે. In this situation, animals living in the soil have to come out for respiration. Could this be the reason why earthworms come out of the soil only during rainy season? Yes, heavy rains, yes. Have you ever wondered why all the organism of atmosphere doesn't get used up through the large number of organism are consuming it? તમે ક્યારે વિચાર્યું છે કે આટલા બધા ઓર્ગેનિઝમ્સ છે હવાનો કન્ઝપ્શન કરે છે તો બી એટમોસ્ફિયરમાંથી ઓક્સિજન કેમ ઘટતું નથી? Why? Because the boon that we can say that the plant, it always generating oxygen throughout the year 365 days. So the quantity of oxygen cannot be reduced. Only it can be reduced when you cut down the trees. So tree is the main source of oxygen. Who refilling the oxygen in the atmosphere? Of course, tree refilling the oxygen in the atmosphere. So here the 15.3 is over.